Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Daniel Wallace, and I'm the President Judge here in Mercer County. The Mercer County Courts are truly honored to host this ceremony. This courtroom is an ideal venue for this ceremony because I consider it the Veterans Courtroom. I say this because this courtroom has served as the home of the Mercer County Veterans Treatment Court for the past 9 years. Additionally, 5 of the 6 judges who have presided in this courtroom were veterans of the United States Army. Ironically, the 6th judge to preside in this courtroom, Judge Amrine, was in Normandy this summer for the 80th anniversary celebration of D-Day. He participated in a reenactment of the airborne operations that occurred before D-Day. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this means he voluntarily jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. In addition to his World War II paratrooper uniform, Judge Amrine wore one of those GoPro cameras on his helmet to prove to us that he made the jump. I was quite relieved when Judge Amrine reported for duty in this courtroom after returning from France. I will now hand this ceremony over to the true master of ceremonies, World War II veteran advocate Eric Montgomery. Eric?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. This is a wonderful day here in Mercer, and seeing everyone here in this historic courtroom, in this historic courthouse is just so inspiring for these gentlemen. Thank you, Judge Wallace, for your kind introduction, and welcome to this beautiful courthouse here in Mercer. I've been here to this borough several times, but never inside this beautiful, beautiful building. For it is only fitting that this program be hosted here, for it is truly history in the making. What an honor it is for me to accept the gavel to preside over this ceremony today, especially from a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point and a combat veteran. Judge Wallace, thank you, not only for your service to the community and to that as our nation as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, Mesdames and Messieurs, I welcome you to this celebration of liberty and freedom as we brought honor 2 brave and honorable men and their storied history. We gather in a place, in one shape or form, where the principles of our constitutional republic have been litigated since 1807. The painting behind me depicts the goddess of justice as she bears witness to a case in civil law, truth and justice in the balance. Yet matters of law and order must wait till another day. For as some 80 years ago, William Alfonsi and Dominick Aluisia left their homes, their families, and all that knew them to undertake in what General Eisenhower described as a great and noble undertaking. Thank you for honoring them and each other with your presence here today. At this time, in this dignified setting, I would ask you to please rise if you are able. Place your hand over your heart, and for those at uniform, render honors as cadets from the Nighthawk Squadron of the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Color Guard present the colors. Cadets? And now, friends, I would ask you if you could stand for just a few more minutes. And please remain if you are, if possible. If you are physically challenged in any sort of way, you may want to sit down, and no one will look at you in any sort of way in disparaging. Please take your seats if you're in that category. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Joni McFarland as she performs the expanded rendition of our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Mrs. McFarland, the stage is yours.
Turn it up, please. Oh, say, can you see? So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. Wow. That was amazing, wasn't it? I have never heard that version before until we started planning this program. And as I got to know Joni, we got to talking about World War II and about her father and Sergeant Joseph Dudek. So this rendition of the national anthem was not only important for this pomp and circumstance here, but in remembrance of her father. He was and I want to give you a little bit of history here. Sergeant Joseph Dudek served with the United States Army as part of the 30th Infantry Division, and he arrived in France a few days after D-Day, fought through northern France, the Rhineland, and Central Europe, and into Germany itself. He was wounded, recovered, returned to the line, and upon returning to his unit, was regrettably captured, spending the rest of the war in a German POW camp. Thank you, Joni, for your performance. Before we progress a little bit further into our program today, I would like to take a moment to recall the servicemen and women who have served in the cause of liberty and freedom. Many came home from duty at home and abroad with memories and experiences too difficult to forget. Yet sadly, some gave much more. Friends, I ask you to please join me in a moment of silence, remembering those who have given that last full measure towards that righteous cause. Thank you. Let me take a few moments of your time here to introduce this amazing panel of presenters and dignitaries that have come here to honor William Alfonsi and Dominick Aluisia. We'll start at the top. Madame Caroline Monvoisin, Consul General of France from Washington, D.C. Monsieur Matthias Bartlett, Honorary Consul of France in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Congressman Mike Kelly, House of Representatives, Congressional District 16. Brigadier General John R. Pippy, Director, Joint Staff, Pennsylvania National Guard. Representing Senator Bob Casey Jr. and Senator John Fetterman, District Manager Kyle Hannon. Representing Pennsylvania State Senator Michelle Brooks, District Director Melinda Gosser. Pennsylvania State Representative Parke Wentling, from right here in Mercer County, 7th Legislative District. Thank you, Parke. Pennsylvania State Representative Martha Brown, 9th Legislative District, representing Newcastle. Mr. Marty Robinson, nephew of Mr. William E. Alfonsi. Mr. Sean Holtzapfel, grandson of Mr. Dominick Aluisia. The Mercer County Commissioners, Chair Ann Coleman and William Finley Jr., and Tim McGonnell, who could not be here today, as well as Mercer County Veterans Affairs Director, Mrs. Tammy McLaughlin. The Lawrence County Commissioners, Chairman Dan Vogler, Dan Kennedy, Chris Ciananto, along with Lawrence County Veterans Affairs Director, Mrs. Jessie Putman. The Lackawanna Township Supervisors, chaired by Homer Johnson and Commissioner Robert Crucy. All veterans present, and a very special welcome to previously presented Legion of Honor recipient, Corporal John DeRisco. He's 98 years of age. He'll be turning 99 at the end of the month, last day of the month, right, John? He's a combat medic in the 35th Infantry Division. He earned his Legion of Honor in 2017. I had the honor of advancing his nomination to the French government. As well as every veteran in this room, I thank you so much for your service and your sacrifice of your families. And of course, seated to my right are Technical Sergeant William Alfonsi and Technical Sergeant Dominick Aluisia. Friends, let me first introduce Marty Robinson to you. Like most post-war families, the Alfonsis were quite close. I know my families were at the beginning of the Vietnam War, with cousins spending summers and holidays together despite the distances which separated them. Sadly, Mr. Alfonsi's older sister, Ira, lost her husband, Marshall, early on in life. And from that moment, Bill Alfonsi became a father figure to Ira's young son, Marty. Marty's dad was no ordinary man. A waist gunner aboard a B-17 Flying Fortress in World War II, Staff Sergeant Marshal Dale Robinson served with the 401st Bomb Group from November 1943 until just before D-Day. A recipient of the Silver Star Medal, he flew on 33 combat missions, 6 of which were over the heavily defended capital of Germany itself, Berlin. I'd say Uncle Bill had big shoes to fill. To share with us his testimony on his uncle, I ask you that you kindly welcome Mr. Marty Robinson.
Thank you, Eric. On behalf of my Uncle Bill, I want to thank the French government, those representing France who are here this afternoon, and everyone who's worked so hard putting this program together. I reviewed the list of all those involved and quit counting at 17, so I won't name anyone individually, but thank you, and I know Uncle Bill really appreciates it. My father passed away on a very cold and snowy Saturday night in December 1962. A neighbor and good friend of my parents drove us to the hospital. My mother, grandfather, and I arrived back home from the hospital about 11 p.m. After a long time, I finally fell asleep on the couch. When I woke up, Uncle Bill was snoozing in a living room chair. He had driven 80 miles in the middle of the night in terrible weather so he could be there first thing in the morning to guide my mom and I through an extraordinary difficult time. I asked him what time it was, and he gave me his watch. I wore that watch all through junior high and most of high school. In 1955, Uncle Bill bought an old, run-down farm in Gustavus, Ohio. By the early 60s, he had completely renovated the house. This was the first of many renovations. And the property had become known as the Red Gate Farm, the focal point of the Alfonsi family activities. For years after my father's death, my mom and I spent every Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter at the Red Gate Farm. For the first 3 years, neither my mom nor I had a driver's license, so Ann Ardell would shuttle us back and forth to Gustavus. That's 2 round trips, 160 miles each. Bill would be back at the house, putting together the holiday meals and adding the final touches on the holiday decorations. Interior decorating and design is Bill's profession, a passion, and he is good at it. I speak in the present tense because I think he's still a decorator. He could have been a set designer for the Hallmark Channel. I know my mom spent many of her happiest holiday hours by the fireplace in the perfect seasonally decorated living room of the Red Gate Farm, sipping brandy, talking with her brother Bill. When she was sitting there, she knew her brother Bill was taking care of everything. He was really able to lighten the burden of being a widow and a single mom. Uncle Bill was always an innovator and entrepreneur. By the late 1960s, he had his own solo interior design business, and then a little later, he added a retail furniture store. I always enjoyed talking with him about the ins and outs of both the design and the retail businesses. Uncle Bill was always supportive of my getting an education, and I know he enjoyed talking with me about Miami University. We discovered that even we frequented the same bakery coffee shops in the morning between classes. In 1981, after being a widow for 19 years, my mom remarried. She married Art, the neighbor who drove us to the hospital that snowy December night, and the wedding was at the Red Gate Farm. And Uncle Bill orchestrated the whole affair. One last thing, later after I became an adult, Uncle Bill gave me a second watch, the one I'm keeping track of time right now. and the one I carry only for very special occasions like this one. Uncle Bill, our lives have been entwined in many ways for a long, long time. Thank you very much. And thank all of you for listening. I hope I gave you some insight into William Alfonsi's long and extraordinary life.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that very much. You know, when I first met Bill Alfonsi back in December of last year, when he told me what he did is decorate funeral homes, and I got to thinking about that. And I was like, man, there's a lot of thought that goes into that. And you know, obviously you want to assuage the bereavement of the family, but it's just so very interesting that our chosen paths throughout our lives. So, thank you, Bill. And thank you, Marty. A little over a year ago, I became aware of Dominick Aluisia from a mutual friend in Pittsburgh. And I live in Tennessee, so we are strong, our tin cans were stretched pretty thin there. Somehow my friend Dominick's grandson Sean got into a conversation about veterans, and in no time, that discussion quickly focused upon Sean's grandfather, Dominick. A short time later, I was on the trail to reach Sean and contacted him through Facebook to learn more about his grandfather and what he did in World War II. Like most World War II veterans I know, Dominick's humility kept most of his stories locked away, and literally locked away, in a footlocker. After snooping around in Grandpa's basement, Sean discovered a unit yearbook tucked away, most likely for decades, in that footlocker. That discovery and Dominick's service within that unit led us here to Mercer today. Until today, I hadn't actually met anyone in the Aluisia family. And today was the first time that I ever actually got to meet Dominick, so I'm thrilled for that. And we worked together, Sean and I, over the phone to chronicle his history and develop maps and where he went and where he did it and how he did it and how he got there. And that's been my complete joy in building that nomination for Dominick Aluisia. So, Sean, you have known your grandfather your entire life. And I just met him just a half hour ago. So, but I've known so much about him, and God bless him, and God bless you. And please come up here and give some testimony on your grandpa. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this amazing day. And thank you, everyone that was involved with making this possible. And Eric, thank you most of all. This is just, I don't even know what to say about the things that you do for these guys that deserve this, and it's just amazing. And I was talking to Eric a couple of weeks ago, and he asked if I could get up and maybe just share a few memories of my grandfather over the years. And a few things just come to mind almost instantly. And the first one was the old house where him and my grandmother lived. There was an old garage down over the hill. And I remember I would go down there and deer season would come around. And my family's big hunters. So in that garage, there'd be 6, 8 deer hanging in there, skinned, ready to go. And my grandpa would break me off a front leg and give it to me. Hoof, fur, blood, the whole thing, and I would run around with that thing like he just passed me an Olympic torch or something. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And my mom would tell me I'm gross and wait till I fell asleep, and she'd grab it and throw it away. And the next day, Gramps would give me another one. And there was a lot of deer legs to go through. And then the deer sausage making came. He let me crank that grinder. We'd make that sausage, and I remember the casings in the bowl of water. It was kind of gross, but that was always fun. He tried his hand at making wine. I'm sure you guys remember that wine. That was like the kind of wine you had to drink with a fork. had the consistency of milk and sand and grape flavored paint thinner. Only it wasn't grape flavored, I guess. But I'll tell you what, he may not have been a great winemaker, but he was a heck of a cook. Him and my grandmother both. I remember they would slave in the kitchen, making dinners, gigantic dinners, the best Italian food you've ever had. And I'll tell you this, you come to dinner for a holiday, you know, like Thanksgiving, whatever, you get spaghetti and meatballs, manicotti, rigatoni, sauce, garlic bread, and a side of turkey and mashed potatoes. That's just the way that it was. He was always doing something. I didn't see him sitting around too much. He had a giant garden, always making things out of wood, a big woodworker. He's probably made more toys than Santa's elves all combined. Trucks, cars, bird houses, doll houses, just hundreds and hundreds of things. Another thing I remember, we were younger, and he would grab us when we were kids, give us a big hug, and he'd rub his beard stubble on our cheeks. And he'd be laughing, and we'd be screaming, crying. You know, my cousins know. It's kind of like the rite of passage for the family, I guess. But seriously, he's always been the kind of guy, and still is, that thinks about everybody else, takes care of everybody else first. You know, if he was laying in the hospital recovering from a hip replacement and he heard that you stubbed your toe, he'd be on the phone calling you to see how your toe is and make sure everything was good. And, you know, not worrying about himself. That's just the way that he is. And lastly, I would just like to say, when you talk to him, we've talked to him many times about this day and other accolades or honors he's been given for his service, he always says the same thing. I didn't do anything. I don't deserve it. Well, I would like to ask you, Gramps, directly to look around this room right now and see all these people that are, every one of them are here because you do 100% deserve it. And that's why we're here today. And I'd like to thank you for being the best grandfather I could ever have asked for, and being the kind of man that I will always aspire to be more like. And on behalf of myself and the family and friends, we couldn't be more proud of you, Gramps. We love you dearly, and congratulations on this.
You know, Dominick is that's 202 years of history right there, having a conversation. I'm going to have to interrupt you, boys. I'm sorry. The show must still go on. Thank you, Sean. The general's going to talk next, guys, so you better be quiet. I don't dare interrupt. Hey, Bill? Okay, let's get the show on the road. Take it easy, guys. God bless him. I can only hope that I live that long and have that ability to do that. Yep. Brigadier General John Pippy presently serves as Director, Joint Staff, Joint Force Headquarters of the Pennsylvania National Guard. Under his leadership, he oversees the integration of strategic and joint staff issues for over 13,000 soldiers and 4,100 airmen. It's quite a lot you have there. And in that role, he spearheads the efforts to preparing the state for contingency operations in either a federally declared or state-declared emergency. A 1992 United States Military Academy at West Point graduate, in 2004 he was deployed to the Middle East during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then again in 2016 with a combined joint task force in Operation Inherent Resolve. Brigadier General Pippy's awards and decorations include the Combat Action Badge, the Bronze Star Medal, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Engineers Regiment's Bronze Order of the De Fleury Medal, and the latter, the De Fleury Medal, originates back to our American Revolution. Named in tribute to French engineer François-Louis Trezide de Fleury, who nearly 250 years ago served with the Continental Army in our fight for independence. Appointed by the Continental Congress as a captain of engineers, de Fleury himself quickly proved himself through courage under fire, earning the praise of our founding fathers. Not limiting himself to service in uniform, Brigadier General Pippy also served in the Pennsylvania General Assembly as a 9-year state senator and 7-year member of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. How do you fit all this in? I don't know. A remarkable and notable career. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brigadier General John R. Pippy.
Thank you. Wow, this is truly an honor to be here with everyone. First, this is the first time I thought we would shatter glass during the national anthem. I mean, it was so moving, so thank you so much. And then to have Marty and Sean come up and share the family stories, it really inspires me as a soldier. I was over there talking to Dominick earlier, and you're right, he said, I don't deserve this. I said, what you don't realize is not what you've said or done, but who you have been has inspired families, generations, and those of us who are in uniform today. Some of you probably have noticed the uniform I wear now is the same as the one that the greatest generation wore. This is the Ike jacket that was designed by General Eisenhower to have a more practical uniform while we were fighting in Europe. And we take that legacy seriously. So I'm going to talk about just a couple quick things this morning. As I listened to these stories and intro and went through the bios, what really kept on resonating with me was the connections that we have with our French brothers and sisters and allies, dating back to Lieutenant Colonel de Fleury, who led a bayonet charge up Stony Point to capture a British stronghold just south of West Point and during the early parts of our Revolutionary War. And this young French noble who joined the Continental Army and worked and fought for Washington at Brandywine, at Germantown. They were there, our French brothers and sisters were there helping us. And then we returned that favor in World War I and World War II. As part of the Pennsylvania National Guard, we're very proud of the oldest serving Army division, the 28th Infantry Division, that fought in Germany, in Europe against Germany, key roles in World War I on the Marne River, as well as other places. And General Pershing identified and named us his Iron Division. And we proudly hold on the red keystone, the bloody bucket is what the Germans would call it, but that Iron Division. And so the men and women wearing that uniform were the ones who were of the greatest generation and inspired us. And in World War II, you may not know, but the 28th Infantry Division was the first American division to pass
through Paris, and we have a famous photo in the Arc de Triomphe, and I hope I said that right, famous photo of Pennsylvania Guardsmen. And I was talking to a historian, and I learned something, that the French, who were very appreciative, and the soldiers who are soldiers, we had an issue with the French providing alcohol, so to the soldiers who were on the edges of the formation. And so if you look at the history books, there was a couple soldiers that fell out of that march due to the celebrations with our French host. So those bonds are strong, and they're tight, and they mean something. And so to be here today to honor these great gentlemen, it is a way for me to say thank you on behalf of the men and women. And I will share this with you. I was asked to talk a little bit about duty, honor, and country. And rather than go into a speech about each of those words and what it means to me, I will just leave you with this one thought. When you've worn that uniform, and when you've been a family member of a service member who has been overseas, duty, honor, country aren't just words. They're moments. There are actions. There are lost brothers and sisters. They mean so much. And ceremonies like today are not only important to honor the men who have served and to thank them, but they also are to rekindle those memories, because we can never forget, ladies and gentlemen, we can never forget the service and the sacrifice of those who have gone before us. And know that not only are you inspiring family members, but you're inspiring future members of our military who will be there to defend freedom with our allies wherever it comes from. So God bless all of you, and God bless our United States and our friends in France. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Pippy. Thank you so much. Now, I'm from Tennessee, and that may be hard for you to tell, but I've been there for 19 years. And I'm originally from Keysport, Pennsylvania. So I know us Yinzers here, we really do appreciate our veterans, that's for sure. The little town that I live in, Elizabethton, Tennessee, it's about 10 miles south of Bristol. And what drew me to that town was the remarkable reverence and respect that they pay to their veterans. And I've been asked by several of the Legion posts and DAV posts to be part of their honor guards. And to this date, I've done 635 funerals, serving with a variety of different units across Northeast Tennessee. Now, I'm not a veteran, and General Pippy mentioned the Ike jacket, and I'm wearing today the Ike jacket, which was manufactured on June the 8th, 1944, and given to and worn by my Uncle Steve. He was a mechanic in the 422nd. So thank you, General Pippy, and thank you to every veteran again in this room. Born in Pittsburgh and raised in nearby Butler, our next speaker attended the University of Notre Dame on a football and academic scholarship. Following graduation, he returned home to work at an automobile dealership that his father founded nearly 2 decades before. Eager to continue the business that his father began, he took ownership of the Kelly Chevrolet Cadillac dealership in the mid-1990s, and later expanded its operation to include both Hyundai and Kia. Frustrated with a federal government-devised reconstruction plan for the General Motors in 2009, which nearly destroyed his family's legacy and the livelihoods of over 100 employees, he decided to run for Congress. Successful in his bid to represent nearly 750,000 people in 2011, his focus of improving education, combating poverty, and funding cancer research are just a few of his ongoing initiatives. Honored and humbled to represent the values, interests, and concerns of the 16th District, Congressman Kelly models his work within that regard within the House and Ways Committee today. Considered to be a no-nonsense, straight-talk orator, Congressman Kelly has made an impact not only on the citizens of northwestern Pennsylvania and his colleagues in the U.S. House of Representatives, but America as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome your Congressman, Mike Kelly.
Thank you all. It's good to be here with you today. I had the honor in June to go to Normandy to commemorate the 80th landing. The one thing I can tell you, if you look behind me, both the French flag and the American flag are red, white, and blue. Now there's reasons for that. There's no two countries close aligned than France and America when fighting for freedom and liberty. So when I have an opportunity to be at a place like this, at a time like this, honoring men like this, I think about this year being there on Normandy. My father-in-law was part of the landing. He did not come in at Omaha, he came in at Utah. And they lost contact with him, and the family thought that he had been lost in action. His sister never gave up. They found him about 7 months later in a French hospital recuperating from the wounds he received at that landing. So when we sit here today, and we look around this room, and we come into this building, and tread on the same steps that so many before us have tread on, there is no way we can take any of these things lightly. There's no way that we can ever be casual about the price that has been paid for us to be here today. 1.5 million men and women in uniform have given their lives for us to enjoy moments like this. And I think it's become too casual. And I think back when I look at these two gentlemen's contribution. I don't want you to think of them the way they look today. In Normandy, on June 8th, I watched over 100 of our veterans make their way to a stage where thousands and thousands and thousands of our French folks were standing and cheering them and cheering them and cheering them. And I thought as I watched them make their way onto the stage, they were not in their late 90s and early 100s. They were back 17, 18 years old, who were so brave to go into a battle against an enemy that was the most seasoned in the world. They had already run roughshod over Europe. They were unstoppable. We had 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old members of our military, knowing that, still went into that battle. They feared nothing. They knew that their mission that day was so critical to the freedom that the world needed to experience, the liberty that had to be shown, the protected. And I think as I get a chance to sit here or to stand here and be with you all, I would just ask everybody, the sacrifices that were made by these men at that time, going into the breach against the most formidable enemy the world knew at that time, and knowing that if they lost, Europe would be lost. We would never be able to get a foothold again. And just think of the chain reaction that would have caused. So when we talk about patriotism, I kept looking up patriotism. What does it mean? What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. Love of country, love of something that you've just put so far above your own safety, your own life, that you are willing to go into the breach, go into the battle because you feel that way. You just will never back away from that challenge. You will never duck that responsibility. I don't think we can realize today, 80 years later, the heroism that took to go there at that time. They were 16, 17, 18 years old when they said goodbye to their families, went off to war. They gave their mother a kiss goodbye, maybe gave their sweetheart a kiss goodbye, and saying, I'll be back, but I've been called to a greater service right now. And I will not flinch, I will not back away, I will not cower away from the mission I am on. So when you talk about patriotism, when you look at these two gentlemen, these are the people we need to talk about in our schools. These are the people we need to talk about at political conventions. These are the people we need to talk about at dinner, at Mass, after Mass on Sunday, after service, whatever it is. We cannot ever forget the sacrifice that was made by so many for a world that is eternally grateful that they stood in the storm and faced it down. So when I hear about your stories about Grandpa, I think a lot about my dad, what he had gone through, and my father-in-law. When I talked to him about it, I got to tell you, he was also at Normandy, and when I talked to him about it, I said, so, and he's gone now, I said, so Dad, tell me about Normandy. He said, I'd rather not. And I said, really? He goes, no, I'd rather not. I said, why? He said, because I came back. Too many of those other kids never did. And when you talk to our men and women in the armed service, think about that. Think about what they're willing to do, the price they are willing to pay, the sacrifice they are willing to make, the time they are to put in, and the challenges that they faced. And that's one thing, America never backs down. The greatest challenge requires the greatest people. So to be here with these two gentlemen today, they are truly part of that greatest generation. And while sometimes I think back and I said, my gosh, I can't imagine what it was like, they can. I want you to think of the day as those young guys look at their pictures that went off, not knowing if they'll ever be back again. And for us to take a few minutes today to be able to thank them, we love you guys. We love you guys. You are the greatest example of Americanism we could ever see. So thank you so much. It's really great to be with you all today. And I tell you what, this is a very special moment for some very special people. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Kelly. What a thrill it really was to be in Normandy for the 80th anniversary. And one of those crosses belongs to my great uncle, Amon Isber, killed on D-Day, June 6, 1944. This past September, I had the privilege to meet Consul General Monvoisin for the very first time. She was quite new to the embassy staff. In fact, her first official ceremony, much like this one, yes, was for World War II veteran Edmund Lewis. Sir Lewis's presentation was one of the most difficult ceremonies logistically I'd ever helped plan. Delayed by COVID and then again by Hurricane Ian, Sir Lewis not only had one but two formal ceremonies. Looking back now, if it were not for those two delays, we would not have never met until about an hour ago. A native of Fort de France on the French territorial island of Martinique, she was assigned to the consulate last September, and in that role oversees the relationship between France and the United States with the states of Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, the District of Columbia, and West Virginia. An accomplished career diplomat, Consul General Monvoisin entered the French Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs in 2005. In her 19 years of service, she began her career in the Department of French Nationals Abroad and the Consular Administration, and then as part of the Department of Strategic Affairs, Security, and Disarmament. She then joined the European Union Directorate as head of the Franco-German mission. From 2016 to 2020, she was the counselor at France's permanent representation of the European Union in Brussels, Belgium, and in charge of France's representation in European institutions. From 2020, she returned to the consular field as a project manager specializing in the implementation of e-voting for consular elections, and in 2021 for legislative elections in 2022. Until her most recent assignment as Consul General in Washington, D.C., she served as a political officer for the Director of the Department of French Nationals Abroad and the Consular Administration of France. A graduate of the Rennes Institute of Political Studies. As part of her studies abroad, she spent a year in America as an exchange student at the Colorado State University. Mesdames and Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my privilege to welcome to Western Pennsylvania and the Borough of Mercer, Consul General of France in Washington, D.C., Caroline Monvoisin.
Dear honored veterans, dignitaries, and guests, France can never repay the debt it owes to the thousands of American soldiers who helped liberate our country. We are a free country today thanks to their sacrifice, your sacrifice. But we can continue to honor them and to honor you in the company of your loved ones. A few weeks ago, we commemorated the 80th anniversary of D-Day. It was a solemn occasion and an important opportunity to reaffirm our enormous gratitude toward the American people and all our allies. And you can be sure that we will never forget. I am well aware that without your sacrifice, I would not be standing here today. It is therefore with a full heart that I congratulate you, Mr. Alfonsi and Mr. Aluisia, on the award you are about to receive in recognition of your service and dedication. We have so much admiration for the bravery you both showed during that dark time in history. Your heroism helped to forever seal the deep friendship that has existed between our two countries for some 250 years. France is proud to be America's oldest ally and the first country to recognize American independence. We must cherish and defend this special relationship because it is in the most difficult times that we recognize our real friends. That was true in Yorktown in October 1781, as it was in Belleau Wood in 1918 and on the beaches of Normandy in 1944. Both of you fought on behalf of your country to liberate France and Europe from tyranny and totalitarianism. You are true heroes. You risked your lives to free the people of a country that wasn't your own, and that is why today I am about to bestow upon you the insignia of the Legion of Honor. The order was founded in May 1802 by then First Consul Napoleon Bonaparte to reward exceptional services rendered to France by civilians and military personnel. It has remained the most prestigious French decoration and one of the world's most coveted honors. The French president himself, the order's Grand Master, signs off on each and every nomination. In receiving this award, you joined the ranks of more than 300 American veterans, including President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Mr. Alfonsi, you served as an intelligence gathering specialist, conducting clandestine operations behind enemy lines. Your file, which noted your creativity and skills as an amateur inventor, so impressed General Patton that he invited you to become one of his operatives. You were only 19. You entered the service the following week in December 1942, and after doing your basic training at Camp Crowder, Missouri, you were sent to Fort Monmouth in New Jersey, where in July 1943 you joined the 118th Signal Radio Intelligence Company. You were subsequently sent to Vint Hill Farm Station in Virginia, the U.S. Army's cryptography school for counter-espionage training. On January 18th, 1944, you set sail for Europe aboard the Ocean Mail. You arrived in England at the end of the month and were sent to the Combined American and British Intelligence Center and then on to Dartford in Kent, England, for additional training on intercepting German radio traffic. In April, the 118th Signal Radio Intelligence Company, to which you were assigned, became operational. Not long afterward, you boarded a small L-2 Grasshopper airplane in the middle of the night and parachuted into occupied France. Your mission was to scour the region in search of secret German installations. Working with an underground contact, you soon discovered a unit of 1,500 German soldiers equipped with tanks and mortars, neutralizing them with the help of the French resistance and, no doubt, saving hundreds of lives. That winter, you also discovered some 35 secret installations near the city of Reims. At the end of the war, you were sent to Rosenheim, Germany, to aid in the repatriation of displaced people, and then onto Camp Sims, a displaced persons camp near Luxembourg, where you were part of a group that vetted scientists for relocation to the US. You returned to the United States in November 1945 and received your honorable discharge on December 1st. Throughout the conflict, you acted heroically in unforgiving conditions amid ever-present danger. More than once, you had to rely on your will to survive and on your friend and colleague Walter Phillips, with whom you trained before your deployment and with whom you served throughout the duration of the war. I want to be sure we also remember him. Mr. Alfonsi, you have already received a number of medals in recognition of your actions, your courage, and your exemplary conduct during World War II. The American Campaign Medal, the Army Good Conduct Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. In awarding you the Legion of Honor in recognition of everything you did for France, I am proud to add another decoration to that list. So now, I will bestow the Legion of Honor upon Mr. Alfonsi. Chevalier dans l'ordre national de la Légion d'honneur. Mr. Aluisia, you enlisted in the US Army in January 1943 at age 20. After completing your basic training at Camp Wallace, Texas, you were sent to Camp Edwards in Massachusetts for radar and searchlight training with the newly formed 231st AAA Searchlight Battalion. After learning the fundamental techniques necessary to the battalion, among other things, how to operate a mobile power generator, you received additional training in integrating and operating new top-secret mobile radar technology and pairing it with the searchlights. Toward the end of November 1943, the 234th first loaded onto a train from Florida, where the unit scanned the skies for incoming aircraft and received further training. Finally, in August 1944, you arrived in England. On September 23, 1944, you boarded the HMS Rapier and the next day disembarked onto Utah Beach amid sunken ships and scattered equipment, the devastation of war. After a few days, you received your first mission to secure the port of Cherbourg by helping to detect and deter enemy aircraft. The port had suffered extensive damage when it was liberated in July, but it remained vital to the French and American navies. In December 1944, your battalion reached the French town of Cambrai, as brave and determined as ever. But that night, your base came under attack from the Luftwaffe, reminding everyone that the outcome of the war was still very uncertain. While deployed at Cambrai, the 231st aided the 394th bomb group in bombing enemy strong points in Brest, France, and then within Germany itself. The bomb group took part in the Battle of the Bulge from December 1944 through January 1945, targeting communication, transportation, and supply centers. The searchlights proved vital in illuminating the airfield so that these bombers could locate the field and land safely. The bombing raids continued with steadfast support from the 231st until the end of April 1945. Between Cherbourg and Germany, your battalion helped some 4,000 Allied aircraft land safely. That enabled some 40,000 men to return to base and fight another day. Without that contribution, victory would not have been possible. After VE Day, you were reassigned to guard German prisoners and help displaced civilians find their way back home. In March 1946, you finally set sail for the United States, arriving back in America on the 13th. 5 days later, you received your honorable discharge. Mr. Aluisia, in recognition of your actions, your bravery, and your exemplary conduct during World War II, you have already received a number of medals: the American Campaign Medal, the Army Good Conduct Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. In awarding you the Legion of Honor in recognition of everything you did for France, I am very proud to add another decoration to that list. And now I will bestow upon Mr. Aluisia the Legion of Honor. Mr. Alfonsi, Mr. Aluisia, it was a privilege to present you with the insignia of the Legion of Honor today. And I would like to take this opportunity to salute and pay tribute to another World War II hero, Mr. John Jurisco, who was awarded the Legion of Honor in 2017. May your actions and your dedication inspire future generations and remind everyone of the friendship between our two countries. Lastly, a final word to thank Eric Montgomery for his tireless efforts in identifying veterans of World War II who have not yet been awarded the Legion of Honor and allowing France to honor them in the most appropriate way. You are doing remarkable work, and we can never thank you enough. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Consul General. This particular program was really quite challenging because of everyone in the room that you see today. And I couldn't have done it really without a lot of people in this room that helped. And I just want to take a special moment to thank Representative Wentling, who really went above and beyond. His staff earlier this week printed all the programs that you have in your hand. And I hope that you can take those programs home and keep them in someplace safe where you can look at them and reflect in years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, in celebration of that near 250 years of friendship between the United States and the Republic of France, please rise if you are able, as Madame Sophia Ferradas will lead us in the singing of the Marseillaise, the French national anthem. Ms. Ferradas.
There he is.
Thanks.
Thank you. What do you want to do? Read
Right
it?
here.
Τίτλο θα το διαβάσω.
Τραγουδήσατε όπως θέλεις.
Θα το
My mother speaks
τραγουδήσω.
7 languages.
Το Los Enfants de la Patria.
Ναι. When you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. It's a very honor for me to do that. À los enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Compte tenu de la tyrannie, l'état d'art sanglant élevé, l'état d'art sanglant élevé. Attendez-vous dans les compagnies où se feront ces soldats. I'm sorry, I couldn't see the lettering.
You have the big one right here, Mom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I'm sorry, everybody. À los enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Compte tenu de la tyrannie, l'état d'art sanglant élevé, l'état d'art sanglant élevé. Attendez-vous dans les compagnies, musiques féroces soldats, ils viennent du dance for brass, et gourder von fils von compagnies. Aux armes citoyennes, formez vos bataillons, marchons, marchons, qu'un sang impur abreuve nos sillons.
Thanks, Mom. Let's go back to your seat.
Thank you, everybody. God bless. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna take this.
Very big honor. Thank you.
No more running or jumping.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. I know we're running a little late, but hey, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for these guys and for you all here probably as well. Because the opportunities to witness a program like this is very rare indeed. I want to brag on Miss Ferratus a little bit. She's my sweetheart. She is the wife of George Ferratus, a Greek national that was obviously in America. Our American population has certainly been blessed with a melting pot of societies from all over the world, the best societies of all over the world. Corporal George Ferratus was working on the communication lines into France from England. And I went to the very spot where those lines were brought ashore just to the west of Cherbourg several years ago. Madame Ferratus was born in Greece, and as a little girl, she played an active part in the Greek resistance, learning French while combating enemy occupation. Her husband, George, earned his and was presented his Legion of Honor in 2018. So let's hear it for George and Cynthia. Merci beaucoup, mademoiselle. At this time, I would like to invite Congressman Kelly to return to the podium and present our newly pinned Chevaliers proclamations from his seat in the House of Representatives and the people of the 16th Congressional District. Congressman Kelly.
You're all hanging in there pretty well, you know it. Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the good things when you get to serve in office is you can take time out of your life and recognize the life of others and how significant they've been for our country. This is Congressional Commendation, Technical Sergeant Dominick Aluisia. On behalf of the United States House of Representatives, it is my profound privilege to present this Congressional Commendation to Technical Sergeant Dominick Aluisia of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, a valiant veteran of Battery A, the 231st Searchlight Battalion, United States Army. Technical Sergeant Aluisia entered the service on January 18, 1943, and served with distinction throughout World War II. As a power generation specialist, his duties were critical to the battalion's mission, which relied on mobile generators to provide reliable electric power to the unit's searchlights and radar equipment. Without his expertise, the illumination and tracking of aircraft, essential for the protection of the Allied forces, would not have been possible. During his service, Technical Sergeant Aluisia was involved in several key operations. In October of 1944, his unit moved to the port of Cherbourg, providing a protective umbrella over the city by using searchlights and radar to track aircraft and naval contacts. Later, during the Battle of the Bulge, the 231st Searchlight Battalion supported flight operations of the 394th Bomb Group at Cambrai and Nergien airfield, ensuring the safe return of bombers and crews under the adverse weather conditions. His unit's efforts were vital in aiding approximately 4,000 Allied aircraft in returning safely to airfields across Europe. In recognition of his service, Technical Sergeant Aluisia was awarded the Army Good Conduct Medal, the American Campaign Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, with 1 campaign star for Northern France, and the World War II Victory Medal. After the war, he was reassigned to help guard prisoners of war and assist in the repatriation of displaced civilians from all across Europe. Technical Sergeant Aluisia was honorably discharged on March 18, 1946, after having made significant contributions to the success of Allied operations and the post-war recovery efforts. In recognition for his exemplary service, Technical Sergeant Aluisia has been rightfully awarded the prestigious French Legion, Medal of Honor, The United States Congress proudly honors Technical Sergeant Dominick for his outstanding contributions to our nation and for his enduring legacy as a protector of liberty. Sergeant, I could not be more honored to be with you today and presenting this commendation to you. Is somebody from the family? I'll present. Sergeant, you have the other. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very blessed. We're very blessed. Now, Technical Sergeant William Alfonsi. I see you're still alert over there, I'll tell you. You'd see him, he was handling his medal and feeling his medal and thinking, yeah, gosh, this is great. Well, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives, it is my distinct honor to extend this congressional commendation to Technical Sergeant William E. Alfonsi of Hermitage, Pennsylvania, a distinguished veteran of the 118th Signal Radio Intelligence Company, United States Army. Technical Sergeant Alfonsi entered the service on December the 12th, 1942, and served with extraordinary courage and dedication during World War II as an intelligence gathering operative. He was paired with Walter Phillips, a Native American Indian, and together they specialized in counterintelligence. These guys are the guys who are behind the line. So think about it. They're not with their battalion. They are by themselves, and they are trying to get information back. And I think that's so incredible as I continue to read this. So they have operations behind enemy lines prior to the invasion of Normandy in June 1944. Technical Sergeant Alfonsi and his partner parachuted into occupied France, where they joined forces with the French resistance. Blending into the countryside, they reported enemy positions and troop concentrations back to the Allied command, playing a crucial role in the success of the invasion. Their efforts, including the destruction of an enemy garrison poised to counterattack the Allies, are a testament to their bravery and the perseverance of the Allied effort against tyranny. For his valor and dedication, Technical Sergeant Alfonsi was awarded numerous commendations, including the American Campaign Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 5 bronze campaign stars for Normandy, Northern France, Rhineland, Ardennes, and Central Europe, and the World War II Victory Medal. Following the war, Sergeant Alfonsi continued his service by aiding in the repatriation of former enemy soldiers and displaced persons in Rosenheim, Germany. He also contributed to the vetting of scientists for relocation to the United States at Camp Sims near Luxembourg. Technical Sergeant Alfonsi was honorably discharged on December the 1st, 1945, having rendered distinguished service to both his country and the cause of freedom. In recognition of this exemplary service, Technical Sergeant Alfonsi has been rightfully awarded the prestigious National Order of the French Legion of Honor. The United States Congress proudly honors Technical Sergeant Alfonsi for his outstanding contributions to our Navy and for his enduring legacy as a protector of liberty. Truly an incredible man. Marty, you're gonna, okay. Let me just go over with these 2 guys.
Thank you, Congressman Kelly. There's more to come, boys, so my friends in the Navy here are going to come and grab those from you, and they're going to put them over here on the table. If those want to take pictures of those citations after the closing of our event. They're going to steal those guys. They want them for themselves. There's more to come. Yeah, more coming. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yep. Regrettably, Senior United States Senator Bob Casey could not join us in person today. However, Senator Casey is represented by his regional manager, Mr. Cal Hannon. Mr. Hannon will present our newly awarded Chevalier's Letters of Achievement and Appreciation on behalf of Senator Casey. And I know that the families were, and the veterans were sent letters to their home from Junior Senator John Fetterman. And they represent the great citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Cal Hannon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this very prestigious celebration. I'm honored to be here and represent U.S. Senator Casey. I'll just briefly read the text of both of the Senate commendations and try to combine them for our honored attendees. Honored gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to join with your family and friends in congratulating you as you're presented with the Legion of Honor by the government of the French Republic. Mr. Alfonsi, this is a wonderful recognition of your valiant service in the United States Army as part of the 118th Signal Radio Intelligence Company during World War II as an intelligence gathering specialist. Mr. Aluisia, this is also a commendation of your valiant service in the United States Army as part of the 231st AAA Searchlight Battalion during World War II as a portable power plant operator. Honored gentlemen, it is an honor to extend my warmest congratulations as you receive this medal marking your contributions to ensuring France's freedom. Please accept my sincere gratitude for your service, and I hope you take great pride in all of the work that you performed on behalf of the defense of our country. Sincerely, Bob Casey, Jr., United States Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Cal, so very much. Appreciate that. So from the federal level, we moved out to the state level. And, you know, obviously when a fellow gets the French Legion honor, the first thing that I do, find a venue, find a willing partner in organizing a program like this, and reach out to every federal, state, local representative that they can, as I say it, pow on, because these opportunities are so limited. You have to be alive to get the French Legion of Honor. And with our youngest World War II veterans being only 97, it doesn't leave a lot of time to make things happen. So moving on to the state level, regrettably, Pennsylvania State Senator Michelle Brooks of District 50 of the Pennsylvania State Senate could not be here with us today due to a prior commitment. Yet Melinda Gosser, Senator Brooks's district director, is here to convey Senator Brooks's sentiments and salutations on behalf of our office and the citizens of Senate District 50. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome Ms. Melinda Gosser.
Good afternoon, and
Thank you for inviting me. It is my privilege to be here on behalf of Senator Michelle Brooks and the Senate of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to say thank you to these gentlemen for serving our country with honor and distinction. And I would like to present these Senate citations prepared especially for them with heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for this well-deserving honor. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you so much. Now, my Navy friends are coming back to steal more of your papers, guys. Okay, moving on. Since January of 2015, Representative Parke Wentling has served both the 17th Legislative District and most recently since 2022, the 7th Legislative District. The district contains a portion of citizens from Mercer County, encompasses the cities of Greenville, Hermitage, Sharon, southern portions of Jamestown, and those in Lackawanna Township, home of Chevalier Alfonsi. On a personal note, as I mentioned previously, it was through Parke's contact with me, it told me about Bill. Parke knows that I do a Pearl Harbor ceremony every year on December 7th down in Pittsburgh. And he says, "Where are you?" I said, "You know where I'm at, I'm on my way." He says, "I got a friend that I want you to meet, Bill Alfonsi." And so a day or two later, I was up here in Hermitage to interview Bill. We had a nice conversation for about an hour and a half. We got to know each other, so it was a real thrill for me to be part of Bill's ceremony today and help him with his submission to the French government. So without any further ado, please, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your state senator from this area, or excuse me, state representative, sorry, I didn't mean to promote you, Parke. I'm sorry, brother. State Representative Parke Wentling.
So like you, I'm humbled to be here today to witness these incredible men receive their distinguished award for their courage and service. Without the bravery of these men and the tens of millions of Allied forces fighting for our freedom in World War II, we'd be living in a very different world today. If not for their sacrifice, who knows when the Axis powers would have stopped its advance. But thanks to their unparalleled bravery 8 decades ago, freedom won. And these men left their homes, their countries, and even their continents to stand up for what is right. It took an unimaginable amount of courage to serve during World War II in any capacity. But what these two men did went above and beyond the standard call of duty. Because Technical Sergeant Alfonsi resides in the legislative district that I have the privilege of serving, I was honored to be with him on his last 2 birthdays. I called my friend Eric Montgomery, as he had said, to inform him of Mr. Alfonsi's service in liberating France. With Eric's help, Mr. Alfonsi qualified for the French Legion of Honor. In near record time, President Macron approved his application and signed the forms May 7th of this year, which happened to be the 79th anniversary of the start of the surrender documents being signed, which would officially end World War II in Europe. The U.S. already knows that this 100-year-old man from Mercer County and one of our own is a hero. Now the people of France will know just how much Technical Sergeant William Alfonsi did to help win back their freedom. Congratulations for this distinguished award. I can think of no one I'm serving. So as a commissioner for the Pennsylvania Historical Museums Commission and a committee member for the America 250 PA, I must mention the historical significance of having a representative, or representatives, plural, from France here today. Nearly 200 years ago, General Lafayette of France did a victory tour in the United States, which I'm sure you're aware of from your history books. And on the 50th anniversary, for the 50th anniversary of the Revolutionary War, circa 1825-24, and he was right here in Mercer County. He actually came here to honor his friend from Butler, actually. Came up from Butler on his way to Meadville, and he did stop here. So Brigadier General Hugh Mercer was here in Mercer. And he was killed in the Revolutionary War, and it's said that he wanted to come here to honor his good friend Hugh Mercer, General Hugh Mercer from the Revolutionary War. So I do want to thank President Judge Dan Wallace, Judge Amaron, for your staff here at the Mercer County and the Mercer County Commissioners for hosting us in this beautiful space today. Thank you, General Pippi, for accepting my invitation to be here with us today. He also visited the Shenango Valley for the Vietnam Moving Wall, if you remember that coming through the Shenango Valley just maybe 2 years ago. We also dedicated the PA Medal of Honor Highway in Erie. Legislation I did to dedicate that across all of Erie County. So thank you. And I did come to find when he came to visit, we share a common mentor, and that's Senator Bob Robbins, and Senator Robbins is here with us today too. So thank you for your service too, Senator Robbins. Thank you to Congressman Kelly for being a part of today, for your continued support for our country and all those you represent. And finally, or almost finally, thanks to Eric Montgomery for working with the French government and our office and all of your efforts to honor and all the work you did behind the scenes to make this happen today. And finally, thanks to the French Consul General for being here and coming all the way up from Washington, D.C., and all the work that you do. And at the end of the day, thank you to all the veterans that are here, being honored, the veterans that are among us, and God bless America.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Representative Wentling. I know Bill gets a real kick out of the youth of America, and these two young cadets here, thank you so much for your pending service to our great United States and to the freedom and liberty across the world. Thank you. Representing Pennsylvania's 9th Legislative District since December of 2022, Newcastle native Representative Marla Brown serves the citizens of Lawrence County, the city of Newcastle itself, the numerous surrounding territories that include Shenango Township, which is the home of Chevalier Aluisia. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome Pennsylvania State Representative Marla Brown.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Aluisia, who is about the same age as my grandfather would have been, who also served in World War II. He was born on the east side of Newcastle, an area that I'm privileged to represent today. So I thought it would be interesting to understand a little bit of what was going on in that area when he was born. John Schofield Wallace, the commander-in-chief of the Valley of Newcastle, began looking for a building site for the Scottish Rite Cathedral in 1924, with construction beginning in the fall of 1924. The cornerstone was laid on Wednesday, June 10th, 1925. The keynote speaker was the illustrious James Isaac Buchanan. This coming June 2025, the cathedral will celebrate its 100th anniversary, which we're very excited for. Charles Young and other leading citizens formed the Lawrence County Historical Society in 1938 to preserve the area's rich local heritage, and they were so helpful in getting me some of these facts. So I thought I'd mention that as well. Around the same time, the first ship lost in World War II, the USS Reuben James, was torpedoed near Iceland by a German submarine U-boat, the U-552. In March 1941, the USS Reuben James became part of a force to escort convoys sailing to Great Britain. This force escorted convoys as far as Iceland, after which the convoys became the responsibility of British escorts. One of the sailors on the USS Reuben James was Newcastle native Wilton Loyal, or Bud Taylor, a 1939 NECA High graduate. On the morning of October 23, 1941, Bud telegraphed his mom telling her he was leaving on his 4th trip to Iceland. On October 31, 1941, the USS Reuben James was torpedoed near Iceland. The Reuben James had a crew of 136 enlisted and 7 officers. A total of 92 enlisted men and all officers were lost that day. On January 23, 1968, the USS Pueblo, with 83 crew members aboard, was hijacked by the North Korean. The U.S. maintained the ship, which was in international waters, but the North Koreans insisted the Pueblo had reportedly entered into its territory. Seaman Robert W. Hill of Elwood was one of the crew members captured. He was a 1966 graduate of Lincoln High School and enlisted in the Navy in July 1966. During their captivity, the crewmen were subject to torture and beatings. Hill and his crew members were released on December of 1969, and he and the other crew members received POW status for their time in captivity in 1990. The Pueblo was the first U.S. Navy vessel commandeered since the American Civil War. In 1931, a new restaurant, the Coney Island Lunch, which I know Park frequents, opened at 11 South Jefferson Street. It was renamed the Post Office Lunch in 1933. Newcastle is known for many things, but one of the things we're most proud of is that we are the fireworks capital of America. This title is a direct result of an influx of Italian immigrants that came into Newcastle and settled around the 20th century. The first was Leopold Fazzoni, who came to work in the tin mills, but later established his own fireworks business and was issued the first certificate of fireworks manufacturing in the Commonwealth. One other who followed Fazzoni's lead was Antonio Zambelli, and he's of Zambelli fireworks fame. So also included in the group was Constantino Vitel, who eventually formed Pyrotechnico in 1994. 2 fireworks firms remain in Lawrence County, and because of their history, Newcastle officially became known as the fireworks capital of America, which we're very proud of. The most recent Lawrence County native to attain the rank of Brigadier General is also the county's first woman to do so, Marilyn Chiafullo, who was born and raised in Newcastle. Mr. Aluisia, who, as I understand, is now one of the oldest to receive this award, now joins that rank. I had an opportunity to talk to his son last night, and he has 2 boys, 1 daughter, and from what I could gather, is a man of dedication. He had been married to his sweetheart for 78 years. Here's a man that stays committed to his family. I hear that he still celebrates Family Tuesdays with his family, which is a testament to who he is. I'm very proud and honored to call him my constituent, and I'd like to present him with this citation from the state of Pennsylvania recognizing his award today.
Thank you, Representative Brown. At this time, I'd like to invite Brigadier General Pippy to return to the podium and present, on behalf of the Governor of the State of Pennsylvania and the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, letters of recognition celebrating our newly awarded Chevaliers. General Pippy.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly a privilege to be here on behalf of the Governor, Governor Shapiro. What a lot of people don't realize is each state is different in how they manage their veterans and their military forces. In Pennsylvania, that connection between our veterans, their legacy, and those who serve today is very strong. So the Adjutant General, Major General Mark Schindler, on behalf of the Governor, manages not only the 17,000 service members, or leads the 17,000 service members, but we also have over 3,000 civilians that serve our 700,000 veterans we have in Pennsylvania through our 6 veterans homes and our county services in every county. So we're very proud. On behalf of the Governor, our Commonwealth is forever indebted to our service members for their selfless contributions to the people of this great nation. Pennsylvania understands the tremendous sacrifices made by our veterans, having demonstrated a steadfast commitment of loyalty and dedication to face the forces of evil. We remain inspired as we stand in the shadow of their legacy. By answering the call, our veterans linked in their common cause and exemplified by action, and their common cause and exemplified by their actions have allowed us the ability to enjoy and practice our rights and explore our opportunities every day as free people in a free nation. He commends Technical Sergeant Alfonsi and Technical Sergeant Aluisia for their bravery and devotion to this nation and to our Commonwealth, and may their great honor stand as true testament to their character. As Governor, on behalf of Pennsylvania, he extends them his great heartfelt congratulations on this momentous occasion and wishes them continued success. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Again, we are here in the Mercer County Courthouse, and I can't thank enough the commissioners from the courthouse and also the judicial branch in welcoming us here for this special presentation. It is a beautiful place, and I encourage you to look up when you walk out, because it is quite impressive. At 101 years of age, Sir Alfonsi is one of the oldest citizens of Mercer County, and although he has only lived in this county for a short time, nevertheless has earned the respect and admiration of the Mercer County Commissioners and one of the county's most cherished veterans, that of the Office of the Mercer County Veterans Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome Mercer County Commissioners, led by Chairperson Ann Coleman and Commissioner William Finley, accompanied by Veterans Affairs Director Mrs. Tamley McLaughlin.
Good afternoon. Welcome all of you to Mercer County. We're very proud to have you here in our courthouse. We're very proud of our building, and we're very proud also of our veterans. And it's nice to see everyone here today honoring these gentlemen who are very worthy of these honors. Since we all are very familiar with the citations, I will not read ours, but on behalf of the Mercer County Commissioners and all of our residents, we congratulate both of you for all of your service and thank you for making this possible for all of us to be here today and protecting our freedoms and our liberty. I'll turn it over now to my colleague, Commissioner Finley, if you'd like to say a few words.
I thank everyone for attending today. This is a very special moment. It is with great pride and dignity and honor that we are here today to present these awards. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Tammy McLaughlin. I'm the Director of Mercer County Veterans Affairs. This was very short notice, so I apologize. You know, Mr. Alfonsi is one of our veterans. We work very closely with him, and we just love him to death. We talk to him a lot on the phone. We try to help him as best we can. You know, in Mercer County, in our office, we have about 8,000 veterans in Mercer County, is where I'm trying to go with that. And we feel a lot of times those 8,000 veterans, they walk through our office, and it's our job to assist every single one of them the best way we can. It's a lot of work. We have 3 staff members in our office, and we, working with all of our veterans. It's truly, for me, as a Gold Star spouse, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to give back to our veterans. And I just want to thank Mr. Alfonsi for being one of our veterans in Mercer County. Mr. Aluisia, too. I've got to hear both of them speak, and they have a lot of great stories to tell. If you ever have a chance to talk with them, please do, because it's quite a privilege to hear what they have to say and what they did for our country. So I want to thank everyone again for being here. Eric, thank you for planning this, and congratulations, Mr. Alfonsi and Mr. Aluisia.
Thank you, Commissioners and Director McLaughlin. Now, definitely the oldest guy in the room, there's no doubt about it. We're almost finished. I know we've been here a long time, and I want to thank you for your patience. The oldest man in the room by about a month is Dominick Aluisia. A special Christmas upcoming, he'll be 102 years of age. Also at the age of 101 years presently, Sir Aluisia is one of the oldest citizens of Lawrence County, and I would bet you that he has probably the distinction of being one of the oldest people in the county itself. I'm not sure the voting rolls and all the rest of that they keep track of. We can't do math past 10 down to Tennessee, so that's why I like it there. Like Sir Alfonsi, Sir Aluisia has also, and notice I'm changing the titles of their names, it's no longer Mr., it's Sir. And present a resolution honoring Sir Aluisia. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome the commissioners from Lawrence County, led by Commission Chair Dan Vogler, Commissioner Dan Kennedy, Commissioner Chris Cianato, and accompanied by Lawrence County's Veterans Affairs Director, Mrs. Jessie Putnam.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I'm Commissioner Chris Cianato. My colleagues, Commissioner Dan Kennedy and Commissioner Vogler, weren't able to be here, so I'm here on behalf of them, as well as myself and Jesse, our Veterans Director. Dominick, it's been an honor to know you. I had the privilege in my prior career to chair the House Veteran Affairs Emergency Preparedness Committee for 12 years. As General Pippi and I go back to our time in the legislature. And it's great seeing you today, General. But Dominick, I had a chance to honor you back in 2006 when we honored the World War II vets in Lawrence County.
And 18 years later, we're honoring you again for this great honor. And it is so good to be here, and it's so good to see you here. And thank you for your service. And this great veteran from Hermitage, Parke's constituent, it's an honor to be here too, sir. Over 200 years of honor and dedication to this great country. So I thank both of you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done to our country, because it's people like you give us, as elected officials, the opportunity to be here in a free country, as Congressman Kelly alluded to earlier. We're free because of people like you, the men and women who made those ultimate sacrifices. So I thank you for your service.
My office has worked with Mr. Aluisia for a while, and the family. A lot of history that is sitting in front of us, and I hope everybody does take this and takes it home. And please just understand what these gentlemen have been through and listen to their stories, because they're definitely being lost. So again, we thank you both for your service, and it has been an absolute honor to sit in this room today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our friends from Lawrence. And we're almost to the finish line. Thank you so much. A few weeks ago, the superintendents from Shenango Township honored Sir Aluisia in a separate ceremony in their town hall. I believe that's where it was. The Lackawanna Township supervisors would also like to express their sentiments as well to Sir Alfonsi, and much like everything that has been said here tonight, it certainly recognizes Sir Alfonsi's service and being one of its oldest citizens of Lackawanna Township. So I want to present this on their behalf to Sir Alfonsi. I'd like to say a few words on my own behalf, helping these two gentlemen. They're their 58th and 59th World War II veterans. I've helped in one way or the other achieve this honor. And I know the clock is ticking. And as I mentioned before, you have to be alive to receive this. So sadly, earlier this year, and I was working on another ceremony for tomorrow down in Steubenville, and that gentleman passed away, Robert Moran. So with deep regret, he did not get this ceremony that Sir Aluisia and Sir Alfonsi received today. But I just did want to mention that he's on my thoughts today. Back in the day, I delivered my local newspapers to about 50 homes on my street. And little did I know it then, I was surrounded by heroes of nearly 20 of those homes being owned by World War II veterans. As a little kid around 10, if I only knew that my great-uncle Izzy, whose brother Almond was killed on the beaches of Normandy, and his neighbor George Flowers, who was a tough Marine who never once talked to me about his experiences in the Pacific, but he really didn't need to. And even how, to this day, I still remember the plenty of Japanese rifles and flags hanging from his den in his home was a true testament of his character. I wonder if I was too afraid to ask him how he got them, or maybe he was a little bit too afraid to tell me. As I got older, I became a lot more interested in World War II and learned about the men like Uncle Izzy and freedom that that freedom is not free. You have to earn it, you have to protect it, and when it's been taken away, you have to fight to win it back. 80 years ago to this very day, August 23rd, 1944, the citizens of Paris were battling for their own freedom. 80 years ago today, Adolf Hitler ordered Dietrich von Koltitz, the commander of the German garrison and the military governor of Paris, to destroy the city. Hitler said, "Paris must not pass into the enemy's hands except as a field of ruins." Imagine, my friends here, imagine our veterans. Imagine the people of the world, what it would be like if that happened. With the Allied armies advancing towards Paris, citizens of Paris, led by resistance, took back their streets and their liberty. Within days, the Champs-Élysées, as General Pippi commented on earlier, one of the world's most famous thoroughfares, saw 2 million Parisians watching with pride as soldiers from the French, American, and British armies parading in victory after nearly 4 years of enemy occupation. Many of those men were, like General Pippi had mentioned, 28th Infantrymen. The majority from Pennsylvania cities and towns, just like Mercer and Newcastle. And although there were many battles yet to fight, the liberation of Paris set the table for the hard-fought victory to come. Fast forward almost a year, at the end of World War II, General Douglas MacArthur exclaimed, "My fellow countrymen, today I report to you that your sons and daughters have served you well and faithfully with a calm, deliberate, determined fighting spirit of the American soldier and sailor." End quote. Forged in the crucible of war, armed with those characteristics through advancements in technology and science, that generation, which we call in our time the greatest generation, applied both triumphs and tragedies to the cause of the greater good for all mankind, friend and foe alike. Men like Dominick, Aluisia, Bill Alfonsi, John DeRisco, and all those we've mentioned throughout our program today built the world we are all so very blessed to share. I believe, gentlemen, that I can truthfully testify here in a court that everyone in this room values their liberty and freedom preserved by your heroism. I thank you, the liberty-loving people of the world thank you, and the enduring bond of France and the United States will be forever in your debt. God bless you. A couple of real brief announcements, and then we'll adjourn after we retire our colors. For a short time, the Consul General can't stay. She has to get back to D.C. tonight for another event tomorrow, I believe, yes? And and hopefully you could go down to the reception to fall over a very short period of time. That's at the Legion Post, 2 blocks from here, south of here. So, Tom, are you here? Yes. They're prepared for us the entourage to begin? Good morning, I'm prepared. All right, thank you. So thank you, Tom, and thanks for your post to honor us with some refreshments after this very long afternoon, but it certainly was well worth it. Thank you. So at this time, I would like to ask our young cadets from the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Color Guard of Greenville to return to the colors and retire them. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you are able. And as they depart, this will conclude our program this afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. The Alfonsi family, Aluisia family, all of the French delegation led by the Consul General, of course, Congressman Kelly, I'm promoting you. Don't give you any more work, right? Of course, General Pippi, thank you so much for being here, and all the dignitaries in the room, and everybody that helps these 2 guys live a better life. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. As they say in New Jersey, it's munja time. Thank you.